Hey everyone, Jason from Alphatone Audio back again, and today I want to do the first in what's going to be a series of videos of just whenever I find a cool little roundup of various parts or tools, and I'm just going to talk about those, and hopefully you can find a couple little pieces or widgets or whatever that you can use in your rigs or your studios, whatever, to make your life a little bit easier. And going to start off today, I have these three. I'm going to start with this one, which was very cool, and I used this on a pedal board build recently. This is the 05DL5M male 5-pin DIN connector, and you may know this as a MIDI connector. And it's cool for a couple of reasons. One, it is right angle, but two, the very cool thing about it, and when I get it opened up, I'll show you, and as I'm opening up, I'll share one of the two things I don't like about it. The fastener you used to screw this together with, it's like a combination of like a Torx or a star bit, like a T10, and like a blade screwdriver, which is a combination of like the two worst drive types I can think of. Why they couldn't just put a Phillips head or something on there, I don't know, but it's not like you have to open it up every day. So once you get the screw out, so what's cool about this is if you look at this inside barrel, you can rotate it inside the connector, and what that allows you to do is control the angle at which your cable is going to exit your component. So if you align, once you get that plugged in to your jack, then you can simply just rotate this around to one of above 7 unique positions in there. And this is great in case this is part of like a multi-loom breakout. You've got some other audio cables that has to go along with it. It's very cool if you have it on a pedal board and maybe there's something very close behind it, so you don't want to use a straight plug, but you need just a little bit more control because a standard right angle, you may not have enough depth because the jack is very low on the device. Just, you know, anytime you just have a MIDI jack in a tight little location and you need to control the angle of that cable coming out of the device, this is a cool little piece. There's only one other thing I don't really like about it, and which is the strain relief, which is just this little brass or probably copper bit that I guess you just kind of smash down on the cable a little bit. It's not really a deal breaker for me, just because I think it should always be kind of out of the way. It's not like it's an instrument cable or something like that that's going to get kicked or stepped onto, that kind of thing. So certainly not a deal breaker, just a very cool part in general. I paid $7.25 for it just recently, and if you need a 7-pin version, they also make a 7-pin version of that. So first one, again, I'll put links for everything in the description down below. So that's the first one. The second one, IEC Lock. So I'd been looking for just a decent source for these IEC connectors in the first place, and I came across this. And it's pretty simple. It does just what it says. It's doing its power supply. Once you put it in, and this works on any existing IEC, once you put it in, it does not come out at all. And I really cranked on this earlier and I could not get it out. When you do want to release it, it's very simple. Just take this little red piece in the back, it just pulls out, and then that enables you to pull it out. Again, really solid. You're not going to accidentally trip over your power cord and kick it out when you're using one of these. It's very solid. Overall, the build quality seems pretty good. It's definitely more of like a harded plastic than like a rubberized plastic, so it does feel like a little brittle maybe, especially this red part back here, but overall I tend to want to believe that it's a pretty hard plastic. And I actually had not opened it up yet, so let's take a look. Before we look at the inside, you can see here on the back, this is actually rated, at least in the US, this is rated as 15 amps at up to 250 volts. In Europe, though, they only rate it 10 amps up to 250 volts. So most of the parts I looked at before were only rated 10 amps, which I think for most of the applications I'm going to use an IEC 4. It's going to be fine. It's not like I'm running a power distribution off these or anything like that. But you've got that extra juice there if you need it. And, oh, look at that. Comes with a little wiring diagram. Already in there. And just 3 screws on the inside. Just back those off. Put your wire in there and tighten it back down. And also came with a handy little cabling termination diagram. Just in case you really want to be specific and follow the manufacturer's recommendations and all that, which I generally recommend that you do. So Had not actually done an implementation on one of these yet. Oh, there's our strain relief in there, which is nice. Had not done an implementation on one of these yet. Haven't put this in a live rig or anything, but upon first look, I like the looks of these. So again, I have the links down in the description. You can buy these straight from the manufacturer. I bought this on Amazon, and it turns out I paid just a little bit too much for it. But they're just, I think you can get them, they're about $6 a piece if you buy them direct from the manufacturer. And you can start to get bulk discounts if you get into 50 or more. So again, that is the IEC Lock Plus from Weber Electronics. And last but not least, not as cool as you may think, we all know it, it's the all-powerful, do-it-yourself, fix-yourself equalizer for the common gigging musician and engineer, right? There's tons of stuff you use tape for. Lots of reasons that you would want to use a tape for not just putting things together, but also just labeling if you want to mark something, leave notes for yourself on outboard gear, good old application of a console strip, label up all your individual channels, recall markers on the tops of knobs on your pedal board, or all that kind of stuff. Lots of reasons to use tape as a marking device, not just necessarily an adhesing device. The problem I see that people do a lot is they're using the wrong kinds of tapes. They're using duct tape a lot, or they're using electrical tape a lot for this kind of stuff. And basically what you don't want to do is you don't want to use a tape that was intended for a permanent application in a temporary situation. And if you start to look at these other kinds of tapes, also what happens over time is if you look at stuff like electrical tape, or especially like all the vinyl-based stuff, the adhesive gets really gummy and it starts to spread out. And it's going to go a lot of places you don't necessarily want it to. And then you have the other kind of adhesives like on the duct tape or maybe Gorilla tape or stuff like that, where it tends to just dry out, lose all of its adhesive, and you get dust everywhere. So neither one of those are great for your gear. What I suggest you use is something like this, which is called artist tape or console tape. And this is designed to be removed. The adhesive on there, it's not particularly strong. It'll certainly won't fall off if you stick it on something, but the main things about it is it's designed to be written on, and most specifically it's designed to be removed as well. And when you remove it, it comes off clean. It doesn't leave any residue on your part. And you can get this in a lot of different colors and a lot of different widths and that kind of thing. It's a little bit more expensive than standard masking tape, but I think it's worth it if you use this kind of thing a lot. There's also another type of tape out there which is called drafting tape, which you could use as an alternative, and it's actually meant to stick onto paper and then also come off of that paper for use in drafting. Now, it does tend to be a little bit thin, so maybe a little too fragile for general use, and it also tends to be a little bit translucent, which means that it may have a little bit of low contrast depending on the color of what you're going to be ever putting it on. Okay, there's another type of tape out there as well, which is called gaff tape, and you see this used all the time in theater and stage use. As a labeling application tape, it's probably a little bit overkill in terms of how much it costs, and it tends to be like very durable, but it's great for applications where you need a really sturdy tape. Like if you just want to take cables down to make sure you don't trip on them, it's perfect for that. And it's very similar to this in that it's meant to come off and it doesn't leave a lot of residue. And there's lots of other great things about gaff tape too, like it tears very easily and all that. But basically what I'm just trying to say is stay away from the duct tape and stay away from the electrical tape or any of that other kind of stuff if you just have to use this stuff on your gear. And even if you're making your own snakes, like you want to bundle some cords together and you want to tape that stuff up, don't use the duct tape or the electrical tape for that. You're just going to have a mess, attract all kinds of dirt and dust and grime and stuff you don't want on your cables. So again, I'll put a bunch of links in the description. Check out artist tape or console tape. There's lots of places to get it. And like I said, lots of varieties in color and size and all that. So this is the end of this one. I hope you found some of these pieces useful, and I'll see you next time.